Friday before making their way to Russia for talks on Saturday. Well, we have the South African president and some, I think the Senegalese president as well. And a few of them going to meet them. But let's see what happens from there. So come your way from Starr Radio UK. The desperate set for relatives on Greece boat is one of the stories making the rounds. And far right set for key role in new Finnish coalition. The Finnish party agrees to enter a four-party coalition, but will seek drastic cuts to immigration. There are some of the stories making the rounds. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. An ex-police watchdog chief, Lockwood, has been charged with rape. Ex-police watchdog boss Michael Lockwood is charged with raping a girl under 16 and indecent assault. That is a serious one. My surgeon experimented on me and ruined my life. Is a story of another person. Lynn lives in constant pain and needs crutches to walk after a botched operation by Surgeon Sam Jamel. Who is Sam Jamel? I'll tell you more about that. But hosepipe ban has been announced for Kent and Sussex. Southeast Water is restricting water usage from the 26th of June after demand reached record levels. So what's going to happen there? I hope that my area is not affected, because you know me, I love tidying up stuff and then watering my garden as well. But what do you think about all that? I think we're having a bit of a problem with the YouTube channel. So if you are there, please bear with us. We'll do our best to see whether we can reconnect it for you. But wherever you are, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We're going to take a quick break, and once we come back, I will bring in you updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who might or be in number 10 Downing Street. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
All right, it is Starr Radio UK, a minute after 11, and I said today we are all the way in 10 Downing Street, the seat of government here in the UK, and I have no other person but the one and only Yomi, who is there in the brilliant sunshine there, ready to bring you. If you cannot see him, well, it's because of the sun. There is the position of the sun. That's why you cannot see his face very, very clearly. But we can see him. That is my Yomi there for you. Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, good morning to you, Mr. Archie, and good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world. And welcome once again to the Starr Radio UK network. It is a beautiful Friday. I know the picture is not a little bit too clear. We might move maybe a little bit, but for now, just so that we can capture, the 10 Downing Street, the famous dog. But I'm going to come back again to you in the studio. Good morning to Frank. Good morning to all our listeners from around the world, and welcome once again to the Friday edition, the last day of the week. And sometimes some of us get paid, while some are just waiting, to make sure that they can get paid, especially if you are in Nigeria.
Okay. Have you been paid? Have you not been paid? Whatever the situation is, don't worry. You are at Starr Radio UK. You are listening to us, and we're going to make sure we bring you everything that you got to know. Okay, so how was your journey to the place? I mean, comparably, because every time we do such discussions or reportage, I want our listeners across the globe to know exactly how it is to travel. How long did it take you, that distance? If you were traveling, if you were in Nigeria making that move, or you were in Ghana or any place, how the distance and how the journey was like. Yomi?
Well, I actually traveled on the bus because, as you can tell, the weather is a little bit hot. Make sure you have enough water with you when you're traveling. But from where I was traveling from to Trafalgar Square, I'm going to be telling you more about what is happening. There's an event coming up tomorrow in Trafalgar Square on Sunday. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. It was actually about almost an hour, 29 minutes. And that was because there was a changeover on some of the buses I was getting on. And as I was approaching, Houston, you could see the famous BT Tower, which has been used to send messages across the world. Remember that most of the time, the royal family, when they give birth, the BT Tower, tells us whether it's a boy or it's a girl. But this morning, the only message on it says, "Good morning, London." And as I was approaching Trafalgar Square, they are preparing for a concert, being put together by the Westminster Council. It's going to be a free event. As you can tell, there's a lot happening when it comes to UK and London. And that literally means that Saturday, tomorrow, it will be a very, very busy. Also, reminder, I told you that this is a week of the Tech Week. And yesterday, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, I'm not sure whether he's in at the moment, but if you remember yesterday, he was outside, trying to do what they call the immigration walkabout. But London is a very busy place, walking all the way down before getting to number 10 down the street. You could tell that the tourists are arriving, and they're arriving in their huge numbers. Star Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio.
Well, listeners, that is Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you, bringing you updates from number 10 Downing Street. We're going to bring you all the updates and everything that you need to know from Nigeria. But now, you did say that you don't know whether the Prime Minister is in or not. But coming from town, on your travels, how did you, what have been some of the response of the various people, passengers and other you came across? What are they thinking when it comes to the COVID, as whether Boris Johnson did lie to Parliament and everything? What conversation did you pick on your way?
I was reading the paper on the bus, and you could tell that the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson is not pleased with that outcome of the committee. The question is, how can we link this again to Nigeria? We've heard about different committees set up, and there's never going to be an outcome. That committee sat for 14 months, and do you know what is published? It's brought out 30,000 pages. And I was reading through, some of, and while we were locked down, in 2020. The Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, was literally having a different, get together. He was celebrating his 59th birthday. He did say that it seems that it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt for him. I think Africa people will say, I'm not sure whether they have a witch hunt, because every little thing in Africa we term it to, the witchcraft issues. But it seems that, when Boris Johnson was in power, behind that closed door, while family across the UK were totally locked down, they were having gatherings, but he says he disagrees with that committee. We've had a lot of committees as well set up in Nigeria. Let me take you back to a committee that was set up to review the issues that has now generated those that are agitating for the right to self-determination in terms of the restructure of Nigeria. They had this committee, millions of naira was spent, but it seems that everything is under the table again as usual. But not yet in UK. The committee completed its job after 14 months, and eventually a 30-page document is now out for those of us that would like to read through. I was able to look at one of the pictures that was taken in the house there when Boris Johnson, they were even having people that were leaving number 10, they were having gatherings. While we could not visit my mom, I could not visit my sister, but Boris Johnson says it is all about the witch hunt, and he disagrees with the outcome of that report.
Okay, listeners, it is Star Radio UK, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, bringing you updates from 10 Downing Street, but we'll be going to Nigeria. But actually, you did compare during your presentation if it were something to do in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Africa, how a report like that could find somebody who was that popular. So let's take an example as Buhari, as popular that he was, because he won 2 elections and everything, and then a committee sits and then looks at events or something that is said to alleged to have done, and then find him guilty to that extent. Do you think anything of the sort can happen like that, especially when we are looking at the tribunal that is listening to the election petition?
I think I'm getting a little bit of the traffic in the noise, so let me see if I can pick you a little bit from. Yeah, I think I can. If you repeat what you said earlier, if I can get you, I think you're still on that same report. We've had a lot of reports, being set up in Nigeria, but like I said, the question is, whether, when incident happened, I'm just trying to figure out one. Let's talk about the insecurity. We've heard about a lot of the report of the insecurity. The new president came in, and a few days after he came in, the first place he visited was the NSA office. And that for us, those monitoring the Nigeria situation, will say he has done the first step, looking into the security report. But one thing is, how will he be able to hold on to that, report that is getting back? Because every day, Boris Johnson, Richie Sunak, our prime minister, is getting a daily brief when it comes to security across the network in UK. Bola Tinubu, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will be getting report as well. How he reacts with those reports is something that we will have to wait and see. But for now, as we say, there is a lot on the desk of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we're going to be discussing some of that later on in the news headline from Nigeria this morning.
Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mr. Olayomi Koiki in 10 Downing Street. I'm Archie here in the studios of Starr Radio UK. Now let's come straight to the election tribunal sitting that is going on. Now we have a case where yesterday one of the witnesses for the Labour Party, Peter Obi, came to say that he saw about 18,000 or 33,000, something of the sort. Let me try to get the description very, very well, because I don't like it's talking about bled election results uploaded to the IREV portal. So virtually saying that some of the issues or the reportage that they were having at the time wasn't the right one. But do you think, comparing it to what we've seen just a couple of days pertaining to the former prime minister, do you think there can be, if the testimony goes against the president, Tinubu, that the courts can rule that, there should be